How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, the DC Universe Geek, and today we have something a little special for you. An interview with Jolo from McFarlane Toys, someone who is going to explain to my friends Rob and Asoka everything about their McFarlane Toys digital offerings. What is it? Why would we want it? What do we do with them? All these questions and more are answered in this video that unfortunately I couldn't be a part of because I was at home sick, in bed, literally sleeping when they performed this interview with Jolo. But I can be here now saying hello to you and recording this intro. So hello. Anyway, I watched this video as I edited it, and there were a lot of questions that I had answered. And I'm sure that if you sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and just listen to these three fantastic gentlemen speak, I'm sure that this will answer some of your questions about McFarlane Toys Digital as well. That's all for now. Enjoy the video.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another special edition of the DC Infinite Hour. Joined with me is Rob D. Toys. Unfortunately, Brad, the DC Universe Geek, couldn't make it today for this special episode because he's sick. You know, they get sick up in Canada, guys, so he's not going to join us today. But you still have Rob and me. I think that's something, right, Rob?
Yeah, I guess so.
A little more enthusiasm there, buddy. You know,
yeah, we're missing Brad, but
we are missing Brad.
Hopefully, we'll see him soon.
Physically, you know, dramatically. But a lot of different ways we're missing him. So we have a very fun episode today. There's been a lot of conversation around the digital landscape, NFTs, digital collectibles, and you know, a lot of information out there. I think I see a lot more criticism about it more than information about it. So that's why we wanted to do this interview. We actually got in touch with McFarlane Toys, and they connected us with one of the people over there who actually handles all the digital side of things at McFarlane Toys. So he's going to join us here in a minute. Jolo, we're going to get a clear understanding of his name when we bring him on and the history behind it. But yeah, he works for McFarlane Toys. He handles the digital side of the house. So we're just going to beat him up a little bit, ask him some questions, educate us old fogies. We are 80s babies, so we are definitely, you know, more brick and mortar physical action figures. So we want to learn about digital, find out what it takes to do it, why it's important, and yeah, enough of me blabbering on. Let's bring on our guest, Rob. What do you think, Rob? Anything else you want to add before I bring on?
No, I'm excited to check this out. So we can.
Haircut's looking good too, buddy.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Fresh cut, man. Looking nice, dude.
This was my Easter cut.
The Easter cut. Look at that. I could make some more jokes, but I'm not going to do that. All right, Jolo, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing, sir?
Good. Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Jolo, first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do over there at McFarlane Toys?
Yeah, so JL is my real name. Jolo is the screen name that people in the community know me by. But I, like you said it pretty well, I essentially lead product and production for everything digital collectibles at McFarlane Toys. So the main thing you guys have probably dealt with already is some of what we call Phygitals, so physical, digital, hybrid collectibles. So essentially the toys that come with a free redemption of the digital twin of that toy. So my background essentially is mainly been in startups, tech, you know, software, obviously a bit of blockchain here and there, some crypto back in the day. But that's essentially it. I was brought on to really put this project on a really cool trajectory. So since I've been around actually for about 7 months now. So now we're going into this first full summer in this project, and it's looking pretty exciting. So very busy month of April right now. That's
Joe, are you Canadian by any chance?
I am, yeah.
A lot of us, right away, the accent. Yeah. That's what happens when you hang out with Brad for too long. You pick up on the little Canadianisms.
No, exactly. I'm also French Canadian, so it's a bit of you're gonna get a mix of different accents coming in and out depending on how much water I've drank today. So we'll see.
I love it. Rob and I both just sound American all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice.
No, yeah. I'm sorry. But so interesting thing you brought up, Phygitals. So that's a new word for me. Rob, have you ever heard Phygital before?
No.
So what is the difference between a digital NFT?
Yeah.
Like, are they the same thing? What's the difference there?
So there's no, I mean, the underlying technology, yeah, it is digital collectibles. It uses blockchain. Some people will call it an NFT, some won't. Depends who you ask, really. But essentially, a Phygital, so physical digital, is a term we thought we coined, but actually it's been around for a little while in marketing. But essentially, it's just an item that has both a physical and digital component. So back in the day, when in the early days of the console era, for example, a Phygital would have been, you go to the video game store, you buy a disc, but then there would also be a digital code, and DVDs started doing that too. And you could go to the iTunes, Apple
Is that
App
kind of
Store,
like
and redeem a song or movie. Yeah.
like Nintendo's Amiibo or whatever? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's like a little statue that you put on, and then it's like you can play that character.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And actually, it's exactly what the project I run is essentially that. Yeah. But for the physical showroom you guys have behind you guys, I know.
Gotcha. So it's a combination of both the physical and the digital space together. And even taking a step back from there, like, I think a lot of us don't really understand even the concept of an NFT and a blockchain. Like, I kind of get it. Tell me if I'm wrong here. So basically, the way you look at it, like, so you have the blockchain, and let's say you have an image or something.
Mm-hmm.
It exists on that blockchain uniquely. It has like unique identifier. And that's like it's kind of like when Rob, he's a graphic designer, creates a graphic. The original file that he created is like that original concept, and that's kind of what this is. Am I on the right track there? Can you explain that dumb it down for us a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty close actually. The best analogy I can go even further with is literally, something that's a little closer to what we do. For comic books, when you buy a comic book itself, right, it's got a picture, everybody's got the same picture, but then, every book is different, and every book has a code and a barcode. And so all those different pieces of, ways to identify the actual comic book or the physical toy you buy is just saved on a blockchain around the world. And that lifetime of ownership is just preserved that way, in a way that no one can alter. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I guess tying it back to the Phygitals, what you guys are doing in McFarlane Toys. So walk us through a little bit of like how that works, right? Like, so you buy an action figure, like an Aquaman action figure. I know there's actually a digital one coming out. You get the action figure, you get the redemption code for the digital version. So, like, what is that digital version? That lives on a blockchain that's unique to that redemption code, but there's still multiples of it because people are able to buy it. Is it limited? What makes it unique? I guess why should we kind of care about that?
So there's a unique thing there, because a lot of people think that because we're in the digital world that we're like a video game, but we're technically not. And the limit where we stop being a video game essentially is the fact that we don't have unlimited supplies of digital, item collectibles.
Yeah.
We actually, in the case of the Phygitals, we only create as many codes as there are physical boxes being shipped. Okay. So there's only a set number per figure that can ever be created. The one way we do it that's a little different, however, is we don't pre-create the digital figures on the blockchain. They're created as people redeem them. So,
interesting.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thing, because there's some figures, right, depending on the price points on the toy side of things, that are very expensive. Others are more in the $20 to $30 range, and I think we just released some this week, or some are launching this week, right? The Build-A-Figures, which are in that $30 range. And for those ones, there was a huge amount of them shipped out, and some sold out, some didn't. But that's the interesting thing with us, is on the digital side, not everyone's going to want to redeem them, or maybe even open their boxes, for example. But what's cool there is it gives a secondary level of collectability to those people who do want to open those boxes. And when you do that, well, one, you're able to have your physical on your shelf like you guys do. But then on the digital side, you can kind of come and play around with the digital if you've got many other ones, which you can get in many other ways, and create your own little more life-size look-alike showrooms. And so that's kind of the main shtick there, is you're able to really have a little have an extra bit of fun with those physicals when you buy them. Really, yeah.
Interesting. So you only make if a figure comes with a digital redemption code, it's 1-to-1. You have to buy the action figure to get that. And then if someone never scratches that, if they're an inbox collector, for example, that's just going to remain there until one day someone does open it up and tries to redeem it, more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And then how do you go about? So, like, I think a lot of us feel that these digital collectibles are just pictures, right? This is a picture of a toy, and thought is like, hey, I'd rather own a physical version of it. Why am I gonna spend money on just a picture? I can just take a picture of something. But like, can you walk us through what it takes to create one of these digital collectibles from your end?
So actually, the one nuance there is, the NFTs and digital collectibles on the blockchain started as pictures. That's how that whole movement started a couple of years ago. But what we're in we're in the 3D collectible world, actually, which is a different segment of that whole industry. So what you see at first is an image, but what you actually get, because you own that image with us, is you get to have this 3D figure in digital. So it's actually quite literally an image of that 3D figure, but it actually is yours. So what ends up happening there is, once you own it, you're actually able to use it in our app that we make. So what goes behind doing that? Well, we kind of work really closely with the toy store. So what we do there is, once toys are made, and actually more this year when toys are being made, we kind of work in parallel with them, and we basically work off the same sculpts. We cherry pick them. Obviously, we're not as big a team as they are, so we do what we can, and we work with Warner Brothers and the other licensors that we work with that are in the space, and we essentially make them a little different. So on the physical side, depending on what you buy, you may be buying a statue or an articulated toy. Well, we don't do with joints at all. That's the one thing with the digital figures we do. We completely remove them, so you get a bit of a closer look and feel. Obviously, you can't touch them, but it's a closer feel to what you'd see right out of the video game or the comic book or the film, depending on what the character is, obviously. And so that's the extra element for now. We don't allow posing of those figures at the moment, but that's really for the sake of really honing in on the collector showroom element, right? Yeah. The one cool thing we do, however, is specifically on the vehicle side of things. That's the one thing, once I joined this project, we started doing more than just the first Batmobile we released. But I just remember when we did the Batwing in January, the one thing I really pushed on with our VFX sculptors was, I really want to be able to scale this to the size of a jet and have that in my hangar. And that's what we did. We made sure the quality could be, up to spec. And also, some of our users were able to place some figures in there in the cockpit and take pictures from there. So that's like the main thing, really. Like, we really are like a sidecar, second offer for the toy collectors out there who are curious about this kind of stuff. And really, it's just another way for you guys to not have to worry about moving your collection like you've got back there. I'd hate to have to go all the way back in one of those shelves and try to find the one I want to.
That was a pain, man. I do it all the time. It sucks.
Yeah. So that's essentially it. Yeah.
One question that I had is, for the people outside of, say, like the U.S. or Canada, or like, say, in some country like in Brazil or wherever, that can't necessarily get the physical copies, is there a way for them to get the digital copies then, if you're only making 1-to-1?
Yeah, well, so if we only talk Phygitals, obviously you need to buy the toy and the box that comes in to get the code. We do obviously do non-Phygital sales almost every week. Every Thursday we've got something, and it's primarily been Spawn in DC so far this year. Yeah. But you guys can go back. We've announced a couple other licensors recently, like The Walking Dead and NBC. NBC's exclusively Phygitals, but The Walking Dead, we're wrapping that up, so hopefully there'll be something soon. But that's the main thing. If people are interested in digital only, we've got a whole marketplace for that. You can buy off other users. But the best thing to do is to kind of hang around on every Thursday and get one for about the same amount of money that you spend for a toy. It's $20 to $30 on average every week. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier like the Batwing, for example, that you scaled it so that it could be like you're standing next to it in a hangar, right? So like, how would someone experience that? Are we talking about like the Quest, like the Facebook augmented reality thing, or the Apple Vision? Is the Apple Vision, Rob? Is that
Yeah.
Rob's our
Vision
Apple
Pro.
guy.
Yeah.
See, look at that. He knows the specs. He knows it. Is that, Jolo, like how you should be looking at this kind of a big picture?
Well, that's definitely something that would be pretty cool. I think everybody agrees. It actually depends on what kind of computer you run right now. It's not something we actively worked on, but I've heard some users have just kind of enabled their computer to turn on a few settings in the background, and it does work. It just really depends on your computer, but we don't officially support it. So we right now we're mainly focused on the purchasing experience.
Okay.
But when it comes to the extra hardware, those are like no-brainers. Obviously, like there's no real timeline right now, but yeah, it's definitely something that could be pretty cool.
Gotcha. Okay, so right now it's mainly through the McFarlane app where you'd be experiencing this, but sounds like definitely down the line maybe something more immersive.
Yeah, well, there's a couple ideas actually being worked on right now that aren't specific to AR or VR, but that would definitely warrant something along those lines maybe being explored. But again, those are actually some things that you can ask Todd directly whenever he hops on our live streams. He's pretty candid about those things. Obviously, he's got his own things he's trying to work on too, and but a lot of that stuff, he's the main person. Like he's the one that has a lot of cool little prototype ideas that I hear directly every week, and sometimes I get, I'm kind of the one that gets to go and try to figure it out and make it happen. So that might be one of those things this year, but like I said, there's no actual timeline right now.
Yeah, understood. And I guess another question I had is like, so my collectibles here, I'm never going to sell them. You're going to be buried with me. I mean, unless my daughters want them, they're coming with me. But like, these are things that like I know I could sell, right? Like, is there a secondary market for digital? Like, can you flip these? Let's say for those of us who are the more like, trying to profit from our collection, is there money to be made in these Phygitals?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, right, you're able to go and get one from a marketplace we run essentially with a partner of ours, and that's because another user's listed the collectible they bought either as a Phygital or a digital first item. And that includes Phygital. So if you do get one, say if you got one of the ones this week, it's already available for redemption as soon as you get it at your house or your apartment, wherever you live. And you can go and list it, and there's a whole community there to help you and guide you on how to do that. There's actually a really cool example. If you guys were following some of the giveaways we did recently, we gave out this new McFarlane's Dragon figure to some folks who entered in some of my marketing colleagues' giveaways for the 30th anniversary, and someone actually resold it. Well, they didn't pay for it; they got it for free, but they paid $60 by listing it because we had some folks in our community who didn't qualify for that contest, and there's a couple perks tied to owning it later this month. So there's always an audience that's willing to kind of see what gets listed and tries to scoop things up. So there is a chance to recoup the cost of your physical toy, actually, in most cases. So far, we haven't had anyone who hasn't been able to flip something.
That's nice.
But yeah, it's again not something we actively, promote. Yeah, exactly. It is the whole point of the digital landscape, right? To be able to create that extra life for your collectible if you don't want to hang on to it. But yeah, we leave it up to the users. There's zero obligations to resell what you have. Actually, we encourage holding more than half the time because we try to we give out a lot of perks for people who hold. You just have to pay attention to some of the Twitter stuff we do. We almost on a weekly basis send out some cool little holder perks on stuff for the toy store, and even on my end sometimes we do allow like pre-sale discounts or access. So yeah, that's actually the one way we're still kind of on the NFT side. We do this pre-sale based perks, but with the toy store, what we do a lot of is just discounts and early access sometimes. Yeah.
I think for us, we look at it, a lot of the comments we see when we see anything digital is that it's like Todd's vision, that he's just kind of pushing this on people. But are the numbers good? Are you guys seeing a lot of people purchasing just digital, figures and things like that? Because I would assume that this is popular enough for you guys to keep doing it. Like, you just came on 7 months ago, so obviously, like, they're hiring over there to have people create this. Like, what are you seeing from that perspective? Is it like a growing market?
Yeah, it's a market that's obviously still a little tied to ups and downs, but it is growing in the sense that it's starting to become more and more tangible, in the sense that a lot more projects, video games, are starting to pick it up. Actually, some of my peers in my industry that I've worked with for a little while have just came back from GDC, and actually it seemed like Web3 gaming was one of the few tranches that was not, a little on the downside this year.
Yeah.
There were the gaming industry took a big hit recently. There were tens of thousands of layoffs, but the Web3 side of that conference apparently seemed like the most enthusiastic and had the most attention for growth. So my answer to your question would basically be that it's one of those things that takes time, but it's so far is worked out pretty well. Like, our project is moving at a steady pace. It's not something that's exploding in any way, but at the same time, we've got a very solid core community, which is pretty reassuring, because we did start before the current bull crypto market, and sometimes digital collectibles will follow that, but we've seemed to have retain that core community, which was a very good testament to, like, the core McFarlane fans that just were really interested in this. And so far, our numbers, they grow every week, so it's encouraging. It's good. It's fun.
Nice. Well, I know what I want to do next. I have a digital code right here, and you're going to walk this old man through reading this. Honestly, to be honest with you, I tried this like last year, the year before, and it was such a pain. I had to sign up for this Bitcoin account. Like, I had to enter my social security number. It was the whole thing. And I think that turned me off immediately to it. That's why I haven't been redeeming any of these codes, to be honest with you. I saved this one. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen, Jolo, and you can walk me through it. And hopefully this won't be like a software demo where nothing works when we actually try to do it. But let's go ahead and see what.
You never know.
Rob, you doing okay over there? I know you're just taking a
lot. I don't want to jump while people are trying to
talk. I know. We keep Rob around for his looks, maybe, to be honest with you.
One question I have is for the Phygitals. So, say Aquaman has like a double head and then quips. Does the digital come with the extra head to like change out the head and the little like features like hand swaps or weapons or stuff like that?
So we don't actually support and sometimes allow people to be able to swap the heads, kind of like what you guys are probably used to with the toys. And there's a good couple of reasons for that sometimes. And what we do in both on the Phygital and the digital first side of things is whenever there's a sale or a collectible that can be redeemed, it is a bit of a random loot box kind of system. So you don't really know what you're going to get until you buy or you redeem. With Phygitals, I think so far we've kept it to about 3 or 4 different variants, is what we call them. There's always a chase that's ultra rare, very very unlikely you get it, but a couple of people have gotten it. For example, the Batman by Todd was the Jokerized figure, which was also, I think, sold separately back in the physical retail space last year. With this new Build-A-Wave, for example, that just started, that launched this week, I think the Green Lantern has a total of 4 variants. One's not being claimed just yet, but there's 3 being claimed, which are first appearances. I think even for the toy store, there's, I'll give you an example. There's obviously the Green Lantern, Blue Lantern Core, Orange Lantern, and the White Lantern. I think one of those at least has not been done on the toy store. And on the Aquaman side of things, that one was a little more limited. We just kind of played around with the accessory. And then we also added, I think his name is and that's where you guys can correct me on this one. It's I think it's Emperor Aquaman, or from the Phantasm line. We snuck that guy in there. Flashpoint. There you go. But what's cool, actually, and it's a bit of a hint of what's coming on our end this year, is for the Batman Build-A-Figure that was also released. That one has an iced Batman figure, which is a bit of a hint as to how we're going to start playing with the digital variants. So hopefully people get to redeem that one if they bought one in the last couple of weeks, because we've been doing some pretty cool stuff behind the scenes there with how to create some first appearances for everybody involved, physical and digital. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, all right, let me go ahead and try redeem this guy right now. Let's see.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a really long number.
Yeah. So what you're doing here, actually, you're on the website. If you wanted to see if you want to just redeem, this is the quickest way for sure.
Okay.
So what you can do, you can create your account. It's pretty straightforward.
All right, let me unshare and try to log in, because I don't remember if I have an account or not. So I should have done this before we started, but let me see if I can do this quickly.
So essentially one of the points that you're trying to get across is, if you have the figure and have the code to redeem, if you throw that away, you're basically throwing money away, because you can use that to like sell it in a secondary market, keep it for yourself, and figure out what you want to do then later. But
yeah, no, exactly. And we had one case actually even before this second wave of Phygitals, where I think it was if I remember correctly, it was for Mr. Freeze. We did a Mr. Freeze from the comics back in October, and somebody managed to resell it in January for like $180. And they bought it for $25. Wow. And I don't remember if the timing was just because we had announced, you needed to hold it for something, but it took a lot of us by surprise. It generated more than the primary sale for everybody involved. So it was quite interesting. It's happened a couple of times, like more than a handful, that have had these really cool like flips like that. So yeah.
All right, so I was able to create a username and password. Super easy, just my email, password, and there we go. All right, so now let's enter the code.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Like the web experience, like what you've got right here is you just log in. You got this one little text field. You put in your code and redeem, and it shows you what you redeemed. It does take a few seconds when you click that button.
Oh.
And that did not work.
No, that's me. That's me. H8 DX V84.
There we go. There you go.
See, look at that.
Awesome.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So what do I do next?
So now you've got that one. So now what's going on is it's using the blockchain. It's actually assigning it to you. So while that happens, it takes a few minutes usually. You can go and download or redeem another code if you bought 4 boxes. Some people do apparently. So you can download for Windows, which I assume you're on Windows?
Mac. Yeah, I clicked it. Yeah.
Cool. Let's try it on Mac then.
It's downloading up here.
Awesome. So another cool thing is when you get into the app, I'll be able to show you some of the community level stuff that we also power for just everybody who creates an account like this. So that's one thing that's cool. When you redeem, you do have an account. It does work in the desktop app right away. And you're also able to start sharing your content with other community members or make your showrooms visible. So that's something we'll walk through in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
All right, so here we are. I'm in.
Yep.
I've entered my penthouse. I was updating assets at the top there.
Yep. So there's a couple of things to note. Obviously, because you redeemed this, you got some XP points right away. If you had already used this and you already had collectibles, you might have been earning some daily XP points for holding them. So that's one of the cool things we do. We have a bit of a leaderboard system that ranks every user based on how much they have in their account. We also create new sets every week whenever we release things. And actually, you just saw there was a blue pop-up. So your Batman has just landed in your account. So like I said, it takes a couple minutes because it is like a real blockchain ownership system. But the one thing you'll see here is, you'll see some generic rooms that are empty for you to fill in. So just like navigating a collector showroom, we give you this huge landscape for you to place your collectibles in.
So I have my collectible here. So there it is. And then if I wanted to like put it in a collection or like view it in a room, I would like go into one of these basically, like and start like populating my collection.
Yeah, I'll walk you through that real quickly.
Okay.
It's pretty. It's not as complicated as it might seem. So the best thing to do right now is you go to My Spaces at the top left, right there. So obviously you don't have one yet, so you can pick one. And we've got a couple remnants from the holiday period there. But what I usually recommend is starting off with the garage. It's got a lot of open space, and you can freely put anything you want in there. And that, again, you can walk freely around and you can go to other rooms from there. It's more of a starting point. So give that a second. There we go. All right, so you're going to want to hit continue at the bottom there. Okay, cool. So if you click around, you should be able to move. Are you familiar with how to play video games on PC or Mac?
No, I never play games on PCs or Mac. So
excellent. So you see you've got your WASD key on your keyboard.
WASD.
Yeah.
Where's that?
on the top left of your keyboard.
I don't see that.
Are you talking about the letter W?
Yeah, the letter. Yeah, the letter WASD.
Oh.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh,
there you go.
See, I'm living up to the old man comments that I
good.
made later. Okay.
Yeah.
So do I hold them down at the same time and move around, or?
No. So the W key is essentially forwards.
I
see. There you go.
Rob's like laughing over there. Look at that! Oh my goodness! Look at that.
So if you want to spin, what do you hit? We are old.
So how it works with this is right now you're in what's called editing mode. So you're kind of free floating like a bug, essentially, right? To control where the camera is looking at, you're going to want to use your mouse. So your mouse, you see, is not locked in. So what you're going to want to do is click you see there's a figure icon at the top left? So player mode, boom. You're kind of dropped in like that. Now you get to look around with your mouse just like you would in any other simulator game, essentially. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's how I move around. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Takes a little it takes a bit of like getting used to.
A little bit, you know?
Yeah. And I think depending on your Mac that you've got there, I think the screen looks a little slow, and that can be normal if your Mac or your PC is a little underpowered on the graphics side. And with Mac, it's a little more common, but the M chips and the later 2018, 2019 computers are pretty good with this. But essentially, yeah. So now that you're in player mode, you've essentially it's as though you've got an empty room, or if you've placed something. We'll do that in a minute. You'd be able to go around and look at it. So now that you've got an empty room, we're going to want to place something. So to do that, you go back to the box icon above. There you go, edit mode, right there. So now you're back in free floating bug mode. So how it works is you really have to own a collectible or something to be able to place it. So since you've only got one in this account, if you click on it, you'll see it'll appear in the middle of your screen. So it might appear a little far away, all the way at the back of the room where your screen is. So you're going to want to go to it. With the arrow, there you go. And when you click on it, you're going to be able to place it, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Can I just double click on it? There we go.
Yeah. And you can, if you hold it, it's just selected. Okay, perfect. So this is where it gets a little bit of a learning curve. So you see below the player icon that you had at the top left.
Yeah.
You're gonna have three other icons. There's gonna be an arrow object, an arrow cursor, and then a couple of circular ones. So
I know how to work these.
Yeah,
you do?
Okay.
Yeah, just from After Effects, doing type and stuff like that.
We should have had you do this then, dude.
Dude, no, you're good because you've never done it, and I'm sure there's going to be people that have never done it.
Right, exactly. So what you're doing now is you're placing it, left, right, and in a left-right direction. So you can't bring it up. Well, you can't bring it up if you pick, or I don't think you moved it off screen now. There you go. It's on the table. So if you wanted to raise it, it's the arrow that points upwards.
Can I make it bigger?
Yeah, for sure. Here, let's just skip right to that. It'll be Oh.
It's
So
behind the
if
table.
you lose it like this, you can click on the card of the collectible. It'll reselect it for you like that. There you go.
Okay. So
Excellent.
how do I enlarge it?
So that's actually the coolest thing for folks like you guys. So if you go to the third icon below the player icon, it says scale objects.
Ooh, scale objects.
So you can tell that the arrows became squares, and that's how you know you're in scaling mode.
Nice.
So if there you go. Perfect. So the easiest thing to do is to click the green square, I think, yeah, and hold that one and pull it upwards. Yeah. There you go. Oh, you see, you got to pull quite a bit. And this one can scale to life size. So Batman is what we can debate how tall he is, but we assume he's going to be like 6'5", right? So you
Interesting.
can scale him up to the equivalent of 6'5".
I've seen how like
Yeah.
if you.
There you go. Perfect. So now, if you want to place, so there's actually a limit, so you can be scaled up to like a 1-to-1 scale ratio. So that's what you've done right now. And if we want to move him so he's on the table, you'd want to go back to selecting him either on the card or the figure.
So
Yeah.
on the card,
Yeah, exactly.
and
there you go.
Rotate objects.
You can also rotate if you want to try that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see.
So to rotate, you can rotate them in basically any 360 direction. It's yeah, it gets you can get a little mind bending if you're not careful.
Okay.
But you can create some really cool scenes like this. And we've got some users who've created like really, really intricate 3D scenes. And we do, yeah, I'll get into some of those user showrooms in a second, but yeah, if you move them around a little bit more, yeah, you can put them in the floor too.
All right, let me rotate it back. Can I reset it so like that? Oh, that's kind of cool.
There you go.
Oh wow! Look at that, Rob. Look at that, buddy. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah. So actually, if you want to see what it looks like when you've placed it,
Right.
there you go.
Okay, there you go. That's good. I'm gonna leave it.
So what you can do now is go back to player mode, which was that figure icon at the top left. So now you're back in the room, and if you walk around, you can kind of go up to him, look at, get really up close, see the details and stuff like that. And in this one, in terms of details, it's a really good figure. We've got some other figures now that are a lot more detailed because they were just more complex with their suit or their armor.
And I've noticed with that spawn when we were in the room, like the cape is flowing.
Yeah. We have a couple that we did last year that were animated. Right now, we haven't released any this year, but it is a feature, right? It's something we can always revisit or do later on with any figure we have.
That's pretty cool. The detail you can see on it.
Yeah. The one thing though is, in case you didn't, I think you're running into this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've also got I think your mouse is very, very sensitive. It's like
Apparently,
a lot. You can change all those settings just like you would in a normal video game. So it's fully customizable on that front, including the graphics. If your computer has a hard time running all these graphics, you can tweak them to a lower setting, and it'll run not the highest detail, but it will still run all the collectibles in the room, which depending on some rooms have like 40 or 50 collectibles in them, and that helps even with the beefy computers.
So say you fill up this room, do you make another room, or can you add it on to, so like you can walk from this room to the next room?
Yeah, so there's a door right there actually, so he can walk into the garage area, and in that one you can definitely place a lot bigger things. So for example, the vehicles work really well in that space. Yeah. But you could also place stuff on the couch or the table that we were just looking at.
I think I got stuck.
So actually, when you're stuck like this, you just have to press escape. Yeah, there you go.
How do I get back to if I enter the room? Okay, we'll go back.
Yeah, there you go. So now you can you haven't saved your room.
Oh no, jeez.
It's fine. Practice makes perfect.
Okay, we're not going to subject our audience to more of me trying to fumble through another room.
Now,
go ahead, Rob.
on the phone, I would imagine that the keys obviously aren't there, so it's going to be different. It's going to be more touch sensitive, right?
Yeah, you mean on the phone,
like for the app? Is there an app, or is it only like Mac or PC?
So this is only on desktop right now.
Gotcha.
But if other projects out there who have mobile apps, it's usually about the same experience. Some have the same showroom in there. Others are just full AR apps.
Okay.
But right now, yeah, our focus is on this desktop app. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to touch on. I only have a few minutes left here. I clicked on the marketplace, hoping it loads up, but I'm thinking this way you were mentioning earlier, where you can kind of see the value of these digital creations and what's the figures? What's the
digital collectibles?
No,
the rarities.
The
rarities. Yeah.
There you go. So let's see how this loads up.
Yeah, for sure. So this is technically just, it's a website that we run for the marketplace, and this is just showing the website in app right now. Worst case, you can always go in a browser next to the app. It is like a video game; it's in a window, so you can move it to the side and go to the marketplace yourself. But that's where you can kind of go and see all the different collectibles you can try to snag up from other users. But that is also where we do all the digital first sales. So this week we might have one. And again, maybe next week as well. But you can go over there and have a look at all the different figures we did this year too. So, for example, right here you've got the black suit Nightfall Catwoman. That's an exotic only sale that we did recently. If you held the purple and gray suit from the comics that we released about a month or so ago. Yeah. So that's one of the pages you get to visit if ever you're curious and you want to kind of shop around. So everything we have here, it's all been denominated in crypto first, obviously, but you're able to kind of filter through and see for every collection what are the different rarities, how much it might cost you if you want to buy from another person, and then you can also see some stats. So, for example, right there, that's the Batman Build-A-Figure, hasn't been redeemed yet. I think it was just shipped out today or yesterday, so that's still hopefully going to fill up really quick soon. But
sorry, you guys froze for a sec. But let me go to.
Yeah, me too.
That okay. So these are ones that aren't available yet. We put the Nightfall one. Okay.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And actually, an easier way to navigate through some of these is if you go to the top of the page, you'll see there's a drop down next to the marketplace logo, and we've broken down everything by licensor we work with. So obviously, our biggest one's DC. And you there have a little preview of the collection itself and usually we put the lowest, the most common rarity as the picture here. So you can see what you're most likely going to get if you bought into the primary sale or you bought the Phygital.
You like that Aquaman one, don't you?
I do like the black short, the black.
I knew you're eyeing that.
That's classic, man. I like that.
Yeah. But you can see here, we've done a bunch of stuff, like the vehicle, the Batwing I was mentioning earlier was right down there. The Superman AC1 was actually one of the highest detailed figures we did until that point in the project. It was a pretty big deal, actually. We sold out that one on the digital side in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
It went really quick. Yeah, it almost crashed our site. And this one was cool because it had followed up the sale of the statue on the toy side, I think, last year. And that was right around when I first joined the project. And it was pretty interesting because we tried to give the physical holders a perk or an early access to it. And there was just not enough time and people around really to get everyone from the toy side in. It was actually a bit of an interesting experiment. But so far, it was actually a really, really fun week. A lot of people on the toy side who came for the first time had an interesting go at it. And so this is one of the ones where you don't have a lot of people who've tried to sell them because I think people are seeing this one as a very, very important collector item.
Yeah.
And that's the Mr. Freeze I was talking to you about. That's one of them that's sold for a bunch of stuff. And if ever some people are curious, you can kind of see the activity on these collections too. And you can see if people are trading them, how much, how often. You can also see all the different information, right? Like we put as much information as we can on the blockchain, so it's immortalized that way. And yeah.
Jolo, let's say this McFarlane site gets rolled into another site or ceases to exist at some point. Do you still have access to your digital collectibles somewhere? Can you still get it?
Yes. Sorry, do you want to just repeat the question? It broke up a little.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, let's say the McFarlane site isn't there anymore one day, 100 years from now, right?
100 years.
But we'll give you guys a long runway there. Would someone be able to still access their digital collectibles even without your site?
Yeah, well, the ownership aspect is fully on the blockchain, right? Okay. Like you'd still own it as long as you still have access to, for getting into the crypto terms a little bit there, but every account is powered with a wallet, but that wallet is yours. It's fully it's surprisingly not within our control, for all the better and worse that comes with that kind of system. But it is yours. So when it comes to the 3D files themselves, right now they're only available on our on our application. Most projects are like that still. So when it comes to those files, it's still a bit of a TBD. I think that's one thing that's very new with this kind of app and project. It's that these projects haven't been around long enough to really run into that. But when it comes to the ownership aspect, the one big benefit with our project is it is yours. So the ownership element stays there. So in theory, if anything happened to us, DC or NBC would be able to just grab these collections off the blockchain and give it life somewhere else later on. So that is the one cool thing. And even if something happened to us, people would still be able to trade ownership of these things. So yeah, in that sense, yeah.
I can tell my daughter if something happens to me. My blockchain collection.
Dude, in that time period, I would imagine that these things are so lifelike because of the graphics. I mean, think of Atari, where we are now with video games. I can imagine that it's going to be like that for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting thing. Like I said, right? Web3 gaming is a very interesting category of video games that are picking up steam, and for better or for worse. But I think it's for the better. There's a lot of elements here that are really, really unique to this space. It just takes someone, a bit of research to see what happened with some other larger video games in the last couple of years that shuttered, and what happened to people's money that were spent into those projects. Mm-hmm. Well, video games those weren't projects; they were very much bigger than projects. And in our case, it's that's the one big benefit we always kind of want to stick to, right? We don't really want people to lose that element of ownership just because they buy in digital, right? And because that is the one big thing you guys do have on the physical side. You bought it, you own it, it's in your hands, Though we can't put it in your hands digitally, I guess, for now, we at least make sure that you do own it at the end of the day, regardless. So, yeah. Like I said, sometimes that can be very daunting because it is blockchain, but we've got an amazing team of mods and community moderators, and the community itself that just is there to welcome everybody and walk everyone through all the nitty gritty and all the learning curves that might be around.
So with other users, can you talk to them through this space and say, hey, this is a great collection, whatever, I like your Spawn figure or whatever? Is that, can you do that through this, or is that something that you would do outside of this?
So we keep it outside. Okay. The community primarily runs on Discord. Okay. It's a pretty healthy little group of people. It's there's a couple hundred of us every week that are all in there talking about random stuff, the next collectible on the block. Everybody's from a bunch of different projects too, so it's a very, very unique and healthy kind of pool of just massive fandom, which is really, really cool to see. I'll give you guys a cool example for that Catwoman. We took a little bit of we took our time to release it, and people were on my butt about it for a month, spamming me with memes, and it was really funny, really, really fun stuff. I wish I could say the same about other projects, but that's the one cool thing about us is we're we've got the cool McFarlane fan base that's there, but we've also got some of the more blockchain native people, and then we've also got some of the toy people, and we've also got like a whole section of that community dedicated to just toy chatter and just gossiping. We don't chime in; we just let people kind of say what they want to say and hint at what they want to hint at. And Todd's also in that our Discord. He chimes in when he wants. We do spaces there or like live streams with him there sometimes. I think we'll probably do one this month. Not sure when yet. He just came back from vacation. But that's the other cool part too. Like especially for people who are big fans of Todd, it's definitely like a huge bonus for people who want to be close to him and be able to ask him questions. He answers. Like you just kind of have to be around, and he'll pop in once in a while. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. It's interesting. Like whole little subset of a new community. We did not know anything about.
Yeah.
So I know we're already over time, but just wanted to thank you for joining us. You answered a lot of questions. I think you opened up a lot more questions as well. A lot more. It's very interesting, and it's a lot easier than I thought. So I'm glad you walked me through that, and I apologize for you to watch my horrible mouse skills as I do gaming. Next time we'll have Rob do it, but thanks so much for your time, Jolo. We might have you on again if that's okay. We'd love to talk to you more sometime.
Anytime, guys. Happy to do a Q&A, whatever you guys want. It'll be fun.
Yeah, so for the community out there, it's kind of like normal comics and digital comics. It's not replacing each other. It's just there for each other, whoever wants it. So
yeah.
Rob, what are you trying to do? Add some common sense to this conversation.
Hey, I'm just trying.
It helps. It helps.
Thank you, Rob. No, absolutely. So thanks again, Jolo. We will let you guys go. And thanks for joining us on this special edition.
Sure, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jolo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one.